live?
We're live. Can you see us and hear us, everybody? Please let us know.
You already went up.
We fixed the orientation. Sorry about the hold up.
Okay.
Thanks for hanging in there.
Oh boy, somebody sure likes to be on camera, don't they? So are we good, you guys? They can hear us. They almost...
Cinda says looks good. Shirley says yes.
Hi, Shirley. Hi,
with lots
Cinda.
of S's.
All right, so let's get
roll.
started.
Get the questions rolling.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 54 of Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ, and this is my worse half, or some say my better half, JP, who runs the Ultimate Weight Loss Program with me. I'm actually the creator of the Ultimate Weight Loss Program, and this is where we answer your questions about healthy, permanent, and sustainable weight loss. And the best way to submit a question is through our website, eatunprocessed.com. However, if you have questions while we're airing live, if we can catch them, we'll be happy to answer them as well. So thanks for coming back, JP. She's getting heavy. You want to hold her?
No, that's okay.
Okay, I'm going to put you down. So before we start, I first want to thank Katie for this awesome t-shirt.
Nice.
This is Kale. Look at the back. Can you guys read the back? It says
Yeah.
such cool things on it.
Sure.
And you know, whatever your question, Kale is the answer.
That's
Now,
kind of how I feel.
really? Well, how come you don't have Kale on your
Well,
shirt?
mine is compassion, and I always feel if there's a question, compassion's the answer. So.
Really?
Uh-huh.
So Kale to me is compassion to you. How do you like that? Why do you think compassion is so important?
Well, I mean, because that's the secret to everything. Would be kind and
Really?
loving to everyone and
Aw.
make the world a better place.
And he means that, and he really
Yeah.
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
He
I think
actually
that's
wanted
great.
He actually wanted to call the Ultimate Weight Loss Program the Love and Compassion Program. However, then we only would have 3 people.
That's true.
So before we get started, I want to tell you about this great new cookbook from one of the participants in Ultimate Weight Loss, Janine Elder.
Love her.
And she makes those amazing t-shirts. I wore one that said Skinny Bitch, and she has Skinny Bitch in training, and the secret to slim is starch and veggies. Her website is potatowisdom.com. This is the Potato Reset. I actually endorse this book. And if you use the code Chef AJ, you can get 20% off. Look at these photos. Look at this. I
Yummy.
mean, look at this. Chili cheese fries. So
Amazing.
it is a wonderful book with lots of tips and tricks, and all the potatoes are recipes. I mean, all the recipes are potatoes, and they're all either completely compatible with the Ultimate Weight Loss Program or with minor tweaks can be made compatible. So again, Chef AJ will give you 20% off at potatoreset.com, and Potato Wisdom is her other website for her beautiful t-shirts.
Nice.
So let's get going. Hi, how did everybody do Thanksgiving? Did you guys make it through without a slip?
I hope so.
We'll see. One of
We'll
the questions
see.
is about that. So yeah.
Okay, first starting out with the exercise questions. Laura asked, what are JP's thoughts on sit-ups? What are some good ab exercises we could add to our daily movement ideas?
Well, sit-ups kind of went out with the square wheel. So, I mean, sit-ups are mainly a hip flexor exercise. They do work your some of your abdominal muscles, and if you want to say core. They can be dangerous because as you get tired, since you're grabbing your neck, you're forward flexing your neck, and if you can get cervical damage from that. It's not obviously the best core exercise, but I do use it for some of my clients. It's very good from a self-defense standpoint to have the ability to get on the ground and get up off the ground. So I do use it in some of my boot camps, but most of the core stuff we do is planks. So we do lots of planks where you're holding a push-up position and you're just holding it, or you're going on your elbows, or you're doing a side plank. And then we do a lot of stuff with medicine balls, where we're throwing medicine balls, rotational wise, and then of course overhead. I think planks are probably your best bet, but sit-ups I'd probably avoid.
Is this a medicine ball?
That is a medicine ball.
It's heavy.
Well, yeah, this one's heavy.
What
so
would we
you
do
know,
with that?
so basically we'd get a partner and we would rotate this way and we'd throw it, and then my partner would
Wow.
catch it, and then we'd just go side to side. The other thing is we would just have it overhead and we'd throw it back and forth this
And
way.
that's for abdominals.
So that's your
Wow.
core. Yeah, your core is generally from your chest here all the way down to your hips, and some exercise physiologists even consider your glutes part of your core. So it's not just your rectus abdominis. There's other abdominal muscles and other core muscles.
So Charles has this thing that I can get in the back room like this, and he does sit-ups with that. Is that safer?
Well, that just takes a little bit of pressure off your neck. But
Okay.
the thing is, those still work your hip flexors a lot.
So maybe you could tell him that he's not really doing sit-ups.
Yeah. You're better off just sticking with a plank.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Thank you. See, I learn something new every week.
Lanny, I don't know how to pronounce it, so sorry. She said, could JP do an exercise video for travel or at home so that we could use it again and again?
Well, in the mastery program, that's all he does is teach exercises each week, and
Well,
actually
even
he
in
just-
UWL. So
Oh,
is she part of
okay.
Ultimate Weight Loss?
Possibly, I can't.
If you're part of Ultimate Weight Loss, we do have ones that was just posted today on exercise.
We did?
Yeah, Kristen Bummer just posted it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah, if you're not Powder Ultimate Weight Loss, get on board.
That's
I
right.
don't know what you guys are waiting for.
You don't know what you're missing.
Lisa asked, how many sets of a strength training exercise is best to build muscle? Is it best to do 3 sets of, say, 10 or 15 reps? Or is it okay to do 1 or 2 sets and just push past the sensation and add more reps?
She must be a UWL, huh?
She is. Mastery, yeah.
Oh, Mastery. Okay, so I like the way she used sensation.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned in my Mastery call last week or this week, I mentioned about I get a million questions about exercise, and rarely can I answer them because there's always depends on. So it really depends on. But basically, just to make it simple, if we could use a cookie cutter approach here, that would be generally
And oil and flour and sugar and oil-free
so
cookie cutter.
like a granola
granola right.
cookie, which I hear you're dehydrated
That's right.
going
We're
now. Isn't that
dehydrating
me?
right now.
Okay, so but basically just very basic. If you would stick to around 10 repetitions and do 3 sets, that would be pretty good for developing strength. But part of it has to do with how well your form is. If you're doing curls and you're going like this, and you're not really going to develop strength in your bicep because now you're putting other muscles into it. It also depends how well your hormones are functioning. Do you have enough hormones to build muscle? How well is your diet? There's a lot of factors, but generally 3 sets of 10 is pretty good.
Each time or just for the whole day?
Well, I mean, let's just make up, say somebody was doing push-ups. It'd be a set of 10, rest, a set of 10, rest, and a set of 10, rest. Yeah.
So Teresa, I don't know if you're still live with us, but we're not only going to talk about exercise, so stick around.
Was that Teresa Notwell?
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's not just about exercise. We just like to get the exercise out of the way. But what's
Yeah.
interesting, guys, about exercise, I know some of you are resistant to it, as I was for 52 years until this man convinced me about its efficacy. You know, if you are somebody struggling with a food addiction, it's one of the best things you can do to recover. And it's really not about weight, because you can lose weight without any exercise. Maintaining it's another story. It's much harder without exercise, but it just does so much for your brain and your self-esteem. It makes it easier to stick to a healthy eating plan because it raises your self-esteem. If you have a lot of weight to lose, it's going to take some time.
Oh, yeah.
And people won't notice right away, but you know what? You exercise and you notice. You're the person that matters. And Dr. Lyle talks about this all the time. As a matter of fact, I'll be doing a live interview with him Tuesday at noon Pacific time, where he's going to talk about nothing but self-esteem. And it's really the quickest way to raise your self-esteem, not to mention building brain health and bone health and cardiovascular health and greater immunity, especially as you age. It's so important, and yet so many people just won't do it. Even people in Mastery. I don't want to mention any names, but
Oh, yeah.
they're not even exercising at all.
If you could just remember that motion creates emotion. So if your motion is sitting on a couch or their lack of motion, that's going to be the emotional state you have is sedate and null. But when you start getting moving, you're going to start feeling more joyous and full of energy in life.
Motion is lotion. You know, I didn't exercise because, like many of you, I didn't like to exercise.
Yeah.
And when I was heavier, I really didn't like it. And then even when I got leaner, it was like, I don't really like it. And so JP said to me, well, you know how ridiculous you sound? I'm like, no. He goes, well, you tell people in the Ultimate Weight Loss Program to eat their damn vegetables, even if they say they don't like vegetables, and you're telling me you're not going to exercise because you don't like exercise. So I pretty much got
Busted.
I got backed into a corner.
Called out.
And I had to do it. So my advice to you, if you are like me and are completely resistant and hate exercise, do the exercise you hate the least. What did you like to do when you were younger? Did you like to go outside and play hopscotch or jump on a
Yes.
pogo stick or
Dance.
ride your bike
Rollerblade.
or dance?
Rollerblade.
Go back to that. A lot of people in Ultimate Weight Loss have these little things that look like they're like frisbees. They're called twister boards, and they twist on them in their house while listening to music. So do something joyous. Just do anything. Just walk around the block, for God's sakes. And if you're not doing anything, get a pedometer and just do something. Get a dog.
You could even buy a little mini trampoline and bounce on it.
Yep.
That's
and
fun.
one of the things you can do is volunteer at the Humane Society because they need dog walkers.
Right, and then
Wow.
that's like a double good deed.
Yes.
And the best exercise is the one you'll actually do and do consistently. So just do something. Start somewhere. Even
Yep.
with any disability, he's worked with people in wheelchairs, paraplegics. There's always something you can do. And you know what? Exercise is probably the only thing that has been proven to that actually can prevent addictions from developing and rewiring the brain to overcome addictions. So it's not about weight, guys. If you're struggling with addictions and food addictions, this has got to be a non-negotiable. So it's only too late if you don't start now. You know, just this morning when I was walking Bailey, I try not to be obsessive about my pedometer. I don't wear it. If the iPhone tells me the steps. I mean, 7,200 steps just in one walk.
Wow.
And it doesn't even
crazy.
feel like exercise because you're outside in the sunshine. I was talking to a friend, and I don't know why she wants to be held, but I guess this is exercise
There
too.
you go.
I'm holding a
Working
14.
your core.
That's right, holding a 14-pound weight.
Christina asked live, she said, what is the best exercise for someone just starting in late 40s but not overweight? I did yoga years ago, but nothing since. Thanks.
I like
Well-
jumping to conclusions. That's my favorite. I think yoga's amazing. I think yoga's a great place to start.
Well, when she said, what's the best exercise? Again, what's the best exercise
For you.
Specifically what, though? What's the question?
Right, she says
You
she's
know,
not overweight.
It really depends. I
Yeah.
mean, generally, walking, power walking is great. Bringing some exercise, hand dumbbells or cans or an exercise band with you when you walk kind of does everything within 30
Mm-hmm.
minutes. You can pretty much cover quite a bit. And the other thing is one of the best exercises in the world is swimming. It's not the best for bone density, but in terms of your immune system, in terms of strength and endurance and just having fun, the water's cool. If you get an aqua vest, they call it an aqua jogger, and you can actually run in the water.
It's actually quite hard. I've done it
Yeah,
in a
it's
water
not easy.
aerobics class.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
at the
But
end of the
what-
day, it's like meditation. The best exercise
Yeah.
for anyone is the one they'll actually do.
I agree.
Because if you won't do it, it's not going to benefit you.
And it helps to do it with a friend,
Yeah,
and it helps to do it also in a class.
having a buddy. Unless
And-
you're really a motivated self-starter. Like I know people
Well,
that
right.
buy a spin bike and spin with YouTubes, but
Oh, yeah,
most
it's
people
amazing.
are not that self-motivated.
Right.
Cheryl asked, how many days should we exercise and how long should we exercise? And is it okay to drink a smoothie an hour and a half prior to exercising? ... It cut off the rest of her.
It's going to depend. By the way, we can only see the first two lines of any question, just so you know, because it's done on a small iPhone. Be sure you share these if you like these. So we talked about this, was it last week? If your goal is fat loss, we don't recommend eating before exercise.
No.
If your goal is fat loss. And when you say a smoothie can be anything from the smoothies at True North, which are zucchini, cucumber, spinach, and celery.
Like a blended soup.
Yeah, to cacao
Slurpee.
nibs, peanut butter.
Slurpee.
Yeah, exactly. So there's,
So we don't know what we don't know what smoothie
what's
means.
in your smoothie.
Yeah. So
Well, I want to just give a tip or a trick. What's helping me, I really don't love exercise. I'm going
I
to be
know.
honest. I mean, I don't hate it like I used to. I love the benefit of doing it, and I dislike what happens when I don't do it. So to motivate me, because my schedule is such now that I can't make the spin class at the time that the spin class is. So I have to go early, like 5:30 in the morning.
I noticed that because you do text me early.
I know. So what's motivated me to continue is that I do not get to watch television. I don't think television is a good thing in general, but there are some quality shows on that are good, like the documentary you asked me to watch on Netflix. And so even if I did watch television, I do not have time at all. And so what it does is exercise has become the treat for me. So the only time I get to watch anything, whether it's a lecture with Doug Lyle or a documentary series or a new show on Netflix that people are raving about, is when I'm in my 90-minute spin mode. And so I look forward to it because it's the only time
Yeah.
I get to do that.
That's what I do.
Yeah,
You gotta
it's-
trick yourself.
Right, and it almost feels like I'm not even... So, like the other day, I stayed on the bike for 114 minutes
Oh, that's crazy.
because the show wasn't over.
my God.
So if you can find tips and tricks like that to motivate yourself, you know...
And or being on the phone.
Yep. Oh, do it.
Sometimes you
yeah.
call
Yeah.
a friend and you're chatting
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
phone. You both
so,
are working
yeah,
out.
distract yourself.
So Enid asked, JP, you mentioned hormones being correct to be able to build muscle. She must mean that your hormones have to be in the proper...
Well, I mean, as you get older, is there a question, though?
Yeah, she said, can you elaborate on taking anti-estrogen medication for cancer?
She had cancer.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a couple things. One, when your hormones change, your energy level changes. So the more balanced your hormones are, the more energy you have. And also, if you have adrenal exhaustion, you've had adrenal problems, you can do a little exercise and it exhaust you for 2 weeks. So your hormones have to be really balanced. But in terms of building muscle, what I really meant by that was that I'm talking about for a man right now, that as men age, their testosterone level generally goes down. So it's harder to build muscle. Women generally have less testosterone to start with, and as they get older, they lose testosterone too. Well, so the point is, yeah, but the main thing is that sarcopenia, or this muscle wasting that takes place, as soon as you get in your 30s, it just starts going downhill. You've got to do everything in your power to keep building muscle. So you don't want to just be the queen of aerobics. You need to do strength training.
That's the hard part
That's
for
the
me.
hard part for everyone.
Yeah. Good to
Marley
know.
said, hi, Chef AJ, I'm new to UWL and
Oh.
I've tried intermittent fasting, but to lose the last 15 pounds, but I wake up so hungry.
Maybe try intermittent fasting the other way. Eat when you wake up and then cut it off sooner in the evening.
Well, yeah, the thing is, when you wake up hungry, your body's saying, listen, if you don't eat, we're going to be forced to take some of those pads of butter off your butt if you don't eat. And then you're going to say to your body, go right ahead, right? So that's the idea. You're supposed to feel hungry, and then your body is saying, if you don't eat, I'm going to pull fat. Well, that's what you want, so you have to endure it. You have to eat some more vegetables to be full, which would be okay, because that wouldn't really mess up the intermittent fasting. We'd prefer nothing, but vegetables are basically 0 calories if you're chomping on cucumbers. Or you can use the essential oils that we talk about in UWL. So if you are a UWL member, then refer to that.
Yeah.
There's a page on the UWL about that.
Nice. Okay. Liz asks, what is the best way to recover from a holiday slip with compliance?
Not slip at the first place. Well, many thoughts on that. So.
Well, yeah, the main thing is just think about if you have a child and they're learning to walk. They fall down, they slip. What do? It's not like it's over. You don't say, hey, you fell, no more walking. You just say, get back up and get started again.
Right.
That's all. One of the things that I would do, though, is I would use, is she in UWL?
We don't know.
Oh, okay, because we talked a lot about the different powders and green powders and alkalinity. You need to alkalize yourself right away as soon as you slip up. You're not going to eat something crappy and then say, I'll wait till tomorrow. Immediately alkalize, so some sort of dark green leafy vegetables, or use the green powders that we talk about, for sure.
You know, I was being facetious when I said not to relapse in the first place, but it's true if that's at all possible. And I'm not saying it is for everybody all the time, but one of the things, if you are in UWL, you can refer to the reboot checklist that we talked about in Vegas. But the other thing I recommend, whether you're in UWL or not, is to have a relapse recovery plan. We talked about this in Mastery, how we had everyone build their own and send it to us. Now, Kristen Bummer, one of the masters, has a blog called Beans Not Bambi, where she has her own 3-day recovery plan. That's an excellent plan, and it works for her. Other people have different recovery plans. It doesn't really matter as long as you have a plan. It's like saying, well, what's the best car insurance? Should I get Mercury or State Farm? I'm sure that they're all good, you know. It's the best one you can. It's the one that works for you, right?
Yeah.
And so, refer to Kristen's website, Beans Not Bambi. Look up her 3-day recovery plan. If that resonates for you, that can be your plan too.
Yep.
Other people, they do different things. Some people, depending on how bad the slip, might take the next plane to True North to fast. Some people might try to fast on their own, or do a juice fast, or wait until hungry to eat.
Yeah, I would alkalize as soon as possible. So green, and I would get on, if you're in UWL, get on the boards, because there's tons and tons of posts about people who have gone off and what they've done to recover.
The secret to and again, I look at a lapse and a slip different than a relapse. So for example, if you got caught up in the excitement and you were, you had done everything we teach you in UWL before we go to Thanksgiving, you've done your exercise and meditation for the day, looked at your vision boards, had your essential oils, sipping green powder, pre-ate, brought compliant food, you did everything right, and then you got to the party and just got overwhelmed in conversation or tempted and took a bite of something that you didn't plan to do, and that was it. I look at that like a slip, like a lapse. I think of a relapse is where it just continues, bite after bite after bite. So I've accidentally had sugar a couple times, not knowingly. I tell the story about in Big Bear where Charles bought the wrong almond milk. We made some banana sorbet, and I'm like, wow, this is so good. Let's have more. And then I looked, so I didn't beat myself up and say, okay, well now I accidentally have sugar, so now I'm just going to keep eating sugar. The next thing you put in your mouth after a slip is greens. And it doesn't matter how good it tastes, steamed kale or nothing until you're hungry again. Yep. What's interesting is that when I was watching Kristen Bummer's Facebook Live about her relapse recovery plan, I thought to myself, well, do I have a relapse recovery plan? Because I do, but I've never actually written it out.
Usually it's called me.
Right, exactly. So I have a pre-lapse recovery plan. So for me, everybody asks for forgiveness, which of course we'll give you, instead of permission. So if I was tempted to relapse for any reason, whether it was a death in the family or just because I was overwhelmed in a place where I couldn't resist the hyperpalatable food, there's actually 3 people I would call in sequential order, and I know one of them would answer. It would be you, Dr. Lyle, Dr. Goldhammer. And And that's what I would do right away. Of course, reaching out to the group, but I might be embarrassed to reach out to my own group. But definitely, so you need people like that. In AA, they call them sponsors, but you need people like that, accountability partners that you could reach out to. The other thing, I only had one I don't know if it was a relapse or a slip when I had that incident in of the fall of October 12th. It was 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago.
Was
when
that
I
in
had,
San Francisco?
in San Francisco.
I got the call.
Yeah, right. So, but now, I think about it now. If I were in a situation where I relapsed, slipped, lapsed, whatever, ate too much of even compliant food, what I do, which is a little bit different, and I'm not advising people to do it if it doesn't work for them, is what I learned from you. Is in Kristen's relapse recovery plan, and I think it works great. She's a little bit more gentle re-entering her program. So in other words, like it's never about eating sugar, flour, alcohol, or oil and salt, but it's about just being a little bit more gentle. The first day, just eating more of an unprocessed diet, like maybe having some richer foods like avocado, nuts and seeds, or tofu, which is perfectly fine because I always say if UWL's too restrictive, you can still do a SOFAs-free plant-based diet and include the richer, higher plant fat foods and dried fruit if that's what's going to, give you your what you feel you need that is not in UWL. And then maybe she'll have day 2 where she'll not worry about overeating as long as it's left of the red line. So for me, I always up my ante when it gets tough. So
Right.
if I did relapse, what I would do is I would just do like an all vegetable day the next day. And not even a fruit and vegetable day. I wouldn't see this as a punishment to myself. I would see this as discipline. And I would just, because my philosophy has always been, my mantra, if you're not hungry enough to eat vegetables, you're not hungry. But now with the air fryer, we're always hungry enough to eat vegetables because everything tastes amazing. Mushrooms, bell peppers, zucchini, everything tastes amazing in an air fryer. So now my mantra is, if I'm not hungry enough to eat plain steamed kale, then I'm not hungry. Because that's never been something that I would just, I eat steamed kale, but I eat it with onions and mushroom and balsamic
Right.
vinegar. So my mantra is now that after a relapse or an episode of overeating, if I wasn't really hungry enough to eat my least favorite vegetable in the least favorable manner, then I'm not going to eat. And then I can just get in touch. And it really, for me, it wouldn't take long to reset. I can reset probably after that first foray back into greens. Because really, as I said earlier, whatever the question, greens are the answer.
Yep.
Tori asked, JP, can you tell me the ratio for clove in water?
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, everyone's different, but generally it's 1 drop in about a half a glass of water. Stir it up, put it in your mouth, swish for about 45 seconds, and then spit it out.
Yeah, don't drink it.
You don't drink it. But make sure to use the one on my website. I don't recommend just buying $2 clove.
Yeah.
I'd rather honestly have you take cloves themselves, crush them, put them in your mouth, than use a cheap clove oil.
Right.
Because a lot of those oils are synthetic. So get the one that's on my website. So it's livingwithharmony.org, and that's my site. Just click on resident recommendations. You'll see all my products there.
Nice. Let's see. Peggy asked, where can we go to find the exercise video that JP said was posted today? That's on the UWL board, Peggy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
on
on
the main
Ultimate
board,
Weight Loss, and that was really good. Because what happened, I did a mastery program. AJ was out of town, so I did a live feed for mastery all by myself. So I just focused all on movement and stuff. And then Kristen Bummer, what she did is she filmed herself doing a lot of the stuff that I talked about.
Very nice.
So then she shared it with UWL, which was great.
She's a
If you're
rock star.
not in UWL, I don't know what you're waiting for, because if you're watching us, I'm assuming you're getting something out of this. UWL is just everything in more detail, and the main benefit isn't AJ and I. It's the
It's the
support.
other people.
Yeah, it's all the people who lost 100, 200, 300 pounds, like Heather Goodwin, that lost 300 pounds, and they're sharing their experience.
Yeah.
They're far better teachers than us
Yeah.
because they lived it.
Well, I kind of lived it a
Well,
while.
you did too. You
know,
lost.
maybe I only lost 50, but I suffered
That's
with
true.
food addiction for over 50
Well, that's true.
years. So, yes.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know what you
they
mean.
can relate to a lot more people.
Right.
Okay. Let's see. Toby asked, what would the benefit be to joining UWL? Is there anything I can get beyond what I learned watching Weight Loss
No,
Wednesday?
that's it. That's all we offer is Weight Loss Wednesday. Nothing more to learn.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely. We do Weight Loss Wednesday for free for people that say I can't afford to join. And
Yeah.
the truth is there are people that have done this without our support. I meet people all the time in cities, and they actually give me money because they go, I feel better. I never
Oh,
joined your program,
that's nice.
and I reversed like even stage 4 kidney kidney disease, and I watched your show, and so yeah, absolutely, because we don't keep it a secret. There's nothing like secret in the program. It's just that we get paid for ongoing support, because JP and I are answering your questions like we're doing now, but we're literally doing them all day from the moment we wake up till the morning we go to bed, plus additional content, but plus, like he says, it's the support of a tribe that gets you. And even people told me that the file section is worth it alone.
That's it.
All the extra recipes and content.
And somebody put all podcasts on there. I think Teresa
we've
put all our different
amazing
podcasts
people
she
in
found.
the group.
But the other thing is, it is the support, which is probably the most important. But the other thing is, in UWL, we're kind of giving you order to do things. We talk about sequencing meals. We have it a little bit organized. This is a little hodgepodge.
Yeah.
People are asking questions.
Right. We can't always go into as great of detail as the why here in a 1 hour broadcasts, but yeah.
And they do get sent stuff when they join the program, UWL.
Absolutely. I remember one girl said, "All I got, I paid $149, and all I got was a magnet and a bracelet." Well, she never even opened up her email. We know if you
with
open
all
up
the
her
videos,
email, the videos. You know what I mean? So anyway, we offer 30-day money back to
Well,
guarantee
hopefully
what she
you contact
got.
her and say
Well,
what?
well, she never even opened the email. We can tell if you're opening the email and looking at the videos. So if you don't watch the videos, it might be a little bit hard to
and plus
understand.
our program is pretty darn inexpensive compared to some of the
Oh
programs that are
yeah,
out there.
no kidding.
Absolutely. And the support is priceless. People have made and forged such amazing friendships with accountability partners and people. And what happens when you join, we have a thing of where we're from. And we have people literally now from all over the world: Israel, Australia, New Zealand, England, Canada, you name it. And so they have connected with other people that without the group, they may not have connected with. And then we have meetups, like we have some in like the Detroit, Chicago area, some in the Portland area. We have a lot of them in the Sacramento area.
There's actually one in Chicago this Friday. Dr. Carrie Saunders is coming in to Paula Kucheri's salon.
Absolutely.
And they're doing it.
And so that's another benefit, is you can find local support as well.
Yes.
So someone was asking a question based on your talk of intermittent fasting, and she said, "Are you saying when you feel hungry you should push on without eating for a while?"
I can't say because I'm not a doctor. I don't know your condition, but generally that's what intermittent fasting is. Normally for me, I'll eat at about noon, and I like to stop at about 5 or 6 at night. So then I go that long without eating. Now, if let's say you practiced that and it was hard, and I got to eat something and you couldn't push on, have vegetables. So it won't really be a caloric load to your system. So just have cucumbers chopped up, mushrooms, artichokes, whatever, things that are such a low caloric load that you're going to burn more calories chewing than they're worth.
You know, hunger waxes and wanes, and the thing is I think the only benefit I have over some of you guys is the experience of being at True North for the last 7 years for up to 5 weeks at a time when I worked there as a guest chef. And when you see True North is not a fat farm or a weight loss place, although there are people there that go to lose weight and do lose weight through the fasting. They don't fast people to lose weight, they fast people to increase this process of taste neuroadaptation quicker, and often to get them the reversal of their lifestyle diseases like autoimmune disease and diabetes. And when you see there's people there that are not even overweight, that are not even food addicted, that fast for 40 days, I kid you not, multiple times to get over certain things, like Christina, who they're on the website, who had migraines, then you realize you create a whole new frame of reference for hunger. Hunger waxes and wanes, just like when you have certain feelings that, if you're sad, you're generally not sad 24 hours a day or happy. Hunger goes like this. And it does go away, and it goes away with fasting. Imagine if people could not fast for 40 days if they were hungry the whole time. They say after about 3 days, something happens, it's completely shut off. So I'm not saying that you should fast, but if you're hungry, if you distract yourself doing something else, you can often delay hunger for 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
It's just
an hour.
a sensation. You're hungry. It's kind of like saying when you work out, it's I want to quit, but you just keep pushing on. In other words, I don't know your medical condition, so I can't say, but we have, even though you are extremely thin, you have more than enough fat to run a marathon.
Well, Dr. Esselstyn fasted, and he said his bones were clanking, but so we're not recommending that you necessarily fast, but one of the things we teach in Mastery is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And any of you that have fasted for religious reasons, like, I forget that holiday, but I know Yom Kippur, but there's another one that people often fast for.
Rosh Hashanah.
Ramadan, I think it is. But I think they actually eat at night. It is uncomfortable, but that's what happens. The thing that's so great about the dietary style of the Ultimate Weight Loss Program is it's the only one that I know of where you get to eat enough food to feel satisfied and still lose weight, because it's based on the concept of caloric density.
Okay. Alan says, I understand the rationale behind eliminating processed foods like sugar and flour, but why alcohol, which has many purported health benefits?
Oh, wow. You got that once at a conference. Do you
Oh,
remember
that was so
Were you
interesting.
there?
Oh, yeah, I was there.
So mad at me, she walked out. Remember?
Well, she must have been an alcoholic, I
Yeah.
think. But
Wow, that's. I wish Dr. Goldhammer was here. Do you want to go first? on
Well,
this?
I mean, just first off, it's an empty calorie.
it's a liquid calorie.
Well, it's empty too.
Yeah.
So there's no nutrients in it. As a matter of fact, it's an anti-nutrient
Yep.
drink like sugar. So it requires, in order to take that energy and alcohol and turn, or to calories to turn it into energy, use vitamins in the process. So that's one of the problems. Number two, it's a sedative.
And
So-
a depressant. Yeah.
Well, right. So it's definitely something that's going to bring your metabolism down and bring you down. And it's literally a drug. So my question is, why are you needing to be drugged? That's one of my main questions. Now, we don't know, who was it, Alan, you said? I mean, we don't know Alan and what he means. Does Alan mean that he's drinking alcohol? We don't know what type of alcohol for its reported benefits. If that was the case, the reported benefits are generally found in red wine. But you could also eat what? Resveratrol.
Yeah.
But you could eat what instead of
grapes?
Yeah, I could eat red grapes.
Yeah,
So there
yeah.
you go. Or maybe better yet, blueberries.
Yeah.
And resveratrol is not very easy to absorb. It's very difficult to absorb resveratrol. So even though there is it in peanuts and red wine, things like that, the amount that you absorb is minuscule.
Right, and I don't want to argue this on the fact of whether it's healthy or not. I don't believe alcohol is healthy in any amount, and the World Health Organization says they'll no longer recommend any amount of alcohol is safe, that it's linked to every cancer. As you said, it's a drug, not a food. But if you're somebody that's struggling with weight, liquid calories from any source are never
Yeah.
going to be favorable for weight loss. When you drink alcohol, it becomes the body's preferred source of fuel, which means that instead of burning the little bit of fat you've got in your butt, it's got to detoxify and run it through the liver. You know, it's interesting because when you're drunk, they call it intoxicated. And because alcohol is a toxin. It's. I mean, all drugs may have some benefits, but they're also toxins at the same time.
Yeah.
I know that the doctors at True North are not fans of it. I've heard Dr. Clapper say every time you drink, you kill off some brain cells and some liver cells. And it's very unfortunate because we have people in the Ultimate Weight Loss Program who are there because they are food addicts and trying to lose weight that abstain from sugar and flour, but still drink alcohol, maybe even nightly or weekly. And I guess my question is, how's that working for you? Because I don't think they understand the concept of abstinence, because to me, sugar, flour, and alcohol are just different forms of the same drug.
Well, alcohol is sugar.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I think of it as liquid sugar or
well, that's
sugar
where
as
do you
powder.
think the calories come from?
Yeah.
It's coming from sugar. It's carbohydrate.
Right, but because it's not sweet and because it's not baked into a cake or a cookie, then maybe they think it's not. But I love how John Pierre says, and I have a magnet says, "Are you fooling yourself? Or are you fueling yourself?" Or the other way around. Are you fueling yourself or are you fooling yourself? So I believe, and I get interviewed for a lot of these summits that are not necessarily vegan, but they're food addiction summits. And one is called the Kick Sugar Summit that I'm going to be on next year. I was interviewed today. And even though maybe some of us experts that are teaching food addiction programs or that have recovered from food addiction, we may have a different dietary approach. Some of them are plant-based, some of them are not. One thing I've noticed, that at least with everybody I've ever talked to in the food addiction world, is they pretty much agree that the only way to recover is with abstinence. And it's sugar, flour, and alcohol at a minimum. And the Ultimate Weight Loss, it's SOFAS, SOFAS, sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt. We can talk a little bit about why we include oil and salt. But I believe that if you want to recover from the disease of refined food addiction, sugar, flour, and alcohol at a minimum have to be non-negotiables, because food addiction is refined food addiction. And what is sugar, flour, and alcohol? They're refined carbohydrates. They're not found in nature. Very few people could make them in their own kitchen. I know people could say they could make moonshine and grind oats into a flour, but you know what I'm talking about. I don't know anybody that can make sugar in their own kitchen except for maybe date sugar with dates in a dehydrator. The problem is when you process a food, you make it calorie rich and nutrient poor. We don't have anybody in the group that has a problem with eating beets. They're 195 calories a pound with water and fiber and nutrients, phytochemicals, antioxidants, minerals, things like that, but you process them into sugar and now it's 1,800 calories a pound. And sugar and flour go through the same refining process in drugs and alcohol, and that's what makes it more of a drug than a food. When you eat them in the whole food forms, you don't get that drug-like form. That's why people don't like them so much. That's why there's no Beets Anonymous out there or Barley Anonymous. But there's Sugar Addicts Anonymous and there's Alcoholics Anonymous.
And people always want to fight for their addictions.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yep.
that's interesting. I thank you for saying that, because what's really interesting to me is we get a lot of people that say, "Oh well, if I abstain from sugar and flour, then I am going to want it more." And I'm thinking, you're not abstaining from it now. Do you really want it less? If you're not addicted, it's not going to bother you if you abstain from it, you know? Okay, everybody, no more okra ever. There's a new report that all cancer will be cured if we abstain from okra. You think you can do it? I think so. I think everybody could. You know, that just shows that it's an addiction, the fact that you're having this response. Because the fact that you want it more just shows that you're addicted to it.
Yep,
In my opinion, you know? I mean, do you think if an alcoholic stops drinking alcohol, especially at the beginning, they're going to want alcohol more or less? Of course they're going to want it more.
Right.
But not abstaining from it doesn't make you want it less, you know?
Yep.
It's like when the people say, well, if UWL is too restrictive and if I try, I'm going to fail. I'm like, well, you're not doing it now and you're still just gained 50. You know what? I just don't understand these lines of reasonings. I understand Dr. Lyle talks about the ego trap, but I don't get it. You know?
Anyways, it's a good question.
It's a good,
Thank
great
you.
question. Thanks, Alan. I think-
So, someone wanted me to address my alcoholic comment, and I did not imply that anyone who drinks alcohol at any time is an alcoholic, but the woman who...
that particular one was so angry.
Yes,
that I
AJ
said
mentioned
wasn't
that,
healthy.
right, that it wasn't healthy.
She said, I know many lives that have been saved
Yeah.
by drinking alcohol.
I remember that.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow.
I mean,
And then
what-
she stormed out,
Yeah,
and she
stormed
left.
out.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
That's scary that she would storm out and leave.
yeah, so we don't imply that everyone. The truth is there's lots of people that drink alcohol that are not alcoholics.
Yep.
Sure.
But if you are, then that's not you. And it's the same thing with sugar and flour, by the way. There are people like my husband and Dr. Doug Lyle, that can eat sugar and flour in various amounts and not be overweight or suffer from a lifestyle disease. But if you're overweight, if you have constant cravings when you don't eat them and when you can't stop eating them when you do, it's not you. So, eating is busted. Woo.
Okay, that's the rest of
That's
our
all our
questions.
questions. You guys
Unless
have
you
any-
guys have more to say, or
You guys have any questions live? Because, you know, this is episode 54. There's not much more we can answer, we don't think. So make sure you have a plan on getting through these next 2 holidays, Christmas, well, 3 possibly, Christmas, maybe 4. For some people, it's Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and then, of course, Hanukkah is 8 days of fried. Oh, we didn't talk about the oil and the salt, why we go a step further than sugar, flour, alcohol, why we believe oil and salt are important, at least the oil, to abstain from, both for health, weight loss, and food addiction.
I'll let you go first.
All right, well, so going on health first, we don't recommend any processed oils just based on all the research out there that have been done with people like Dr. Dean Ornish and Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. on the reversal of heart disease. Nobody needs to eat processed oils. 4,000 calories a pound, no fiber, no nutrients, harms the endothelial cells. So even if we weren't teaching weight loss and food addiction, we never would recommend oil anyway. Eat the nut, not the almond oil. Eat the avocado, not the avocado oil.
Eat the olives.
Eat the olive, not the olive oil. So we recommend whole foods.
Yep.
But in terms of just weight loss, just the fact that it's 4,000 calories a pound, no fiber, no nutrients, no satiety, it's deplorable. And so where food addiction is concerned is that it isn't so much the oil, because we don't have people struggling on the boards because they're drinking olive oil. It's what it's paired with.
Yeah.
So it's always fat with sugar or fat with salt. You know, had a client that her thing is French fries, and she's vegan, but she'll relapse on eating French fries. And I said to her, you know, because she says, oh, salt's not a problem. I said, but you know, if wherever you went for these French fries, if they fried them in oil with no salt, they would be disgusting chips, you know, things like that make it hyper palatable, that make it impossible to resist.
Mm-hmm.
So oil it's just the carrier for either the salt or the sugar, because by itself, let's face it, I mean, even when people eat salad, they don't just put oil. There's always some kind of seasoning, and when you use oil, you need a lot more salt.
Well, you got air fryers now, so
Oh yeah, you don't even need it. You
yeah,
don't.
it's
Oh
cheating.
my God,
Cheating.
the best French fries in the world without it. And so salt is one of those things that a lot of people have trouble making a non-negotiable, and it is really the hardest if you travel.
You've always said that. You've always said it's the hardest.
It's not okay. Yeah, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I
you
don't
said
think
that.
it is, but
We'll talk about
well,
that.
the only reason I don't think it is because salt is just one of the thousands of different spices out there. So we can easily get rid of salt and start using you pick 10 or 12 different spices, and that will tantalize your palate more than enough.
Right. Well, I think for a lot of people it's the hardest because they're the most used to it. It's hidden. They don't realize how much salt they're eating if they're eating things like bread, because
Well,
bread.
we don't recommend bread.
I know, but I'm saying we have people watching us that maybe are new to us. They're
Oh,
just
okay.
seeing us. They're not in the program, and they
Oh.
may not realize that there's actually more salt, sodium hidden in a
bread.
bread than even on a French fry or potato
Yeah.
chip. And so they're used to eating lots and lots of salt. So when it's taken away, their food tastes very bland because they haven't gone through this process of neurological adaptation. Taste buds on the tongue, we prefer the taste of salty foods. And I agree with you that there's many other flavors, but it seems to be, from what people tell me, the hardest of the sugar, fat, and salt to let go of. Also, what it is it's, at least where weight loss and food addiction is concerned, we have a lot of people that are basically compliant on the program, but still buy condiments like ketchup,
Right.
mustard, and
That's
salt.
the tricky thing.
Hot sauce, even though you can buy them or make them without it, and I'm not saying that this is a deal breaker, but for some people it can make the difference because it is an appetite stimulant, and a lot of times it causes people to eat more food than they
Well, some
intended.
people like Tabasco sauce. Some people let's say they like that.
Yep.
So what's wrong with that?
I think you're stimulating the palate. And
But I mean, are you saying there's salt in Tabasco sauce?
yes.
Okay.
There's
so,
only one hot sauce without salt.
But
It's
what
called
I'm saying
Blue
is,
Blue
what's
Brothers.
Tabasco sauce? What's the main spice in there from?
Pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all you start doing is you go to the store and you buy hot pepper.
Yeah.
And the other thing you can do is I think it was was it Heather? Hester?
Kathy Hester.
Hester said that you can literally take jalapenos dried, put them in the blender.
Oh yeah,
blend it,
absolutely. And you can buy jalapeno powder at Costco and other
and
stores.
I just use the essential oils from my website. I literally you just take a toothpick, you stick it in the oil, and then you stir your salad dressing, your soup. 1 drop of peppermint is equal to 21 cups of peppermint tea. I mean, that stuff's
Right.
powerful.
I think one of the reasons people don't, again, I would encourage you to look at any of the many videos on YouTube, Dr. Whole Number. People don't take salt as seriously because it has no calories. Because we could argue, because even though, most people, especially women, have calories drilled into their head from their first diet when they were 10 years old, and they could tell you the calorie count of every food, which is why Ultimate Weight Loss is so great. You don't have to know the calorie count of anything. You gotta have to know the calorie count of 4 groups: fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. That's all you really have to memorize, and you don't even have to memorize that because we have a magnet. But I think they put salt off to the side as not being as serious, unless of course maybe they have high blood pressure.
Or stomach issues.
Yeah, exactly. Is that because it has no calories, they feel they could get away with it.
Yeah, but artificial sweeteners don't have any
Well, that's
calories.
what I was going to say. That's the other thing. We have so many people this is what I don't understand. There are people in our program right now that still smoke cigarettes. And to me, if that's you, don't worry about being the thinnest person in the coffin. Stop smoking. Do everything you can to stop smoking instead of worrying
Right.
about being thin. But
Right.
but the thing is we still have people that are using the stevia, erythritol, xylitol, mannitol, sorbitol, which by the way are a GI nightmare.
Yep. Not only that, but they'll cause you to gain more weight than
They
Yeah,
don't-
they stimulate your
They
appetite
don't
even
realize
more.
that the 0-calorie sweeteners, because we get this every week when I review the feed, it's almost every week, what's wrong with stevia, what's wrong with erythritol. The 0-calorie sweeteners are actually worse for weight loss and for people suffering from food addictions. And the reason is we have these taste buds on the tip of our tongue for sweet and salty. And so when we taste something sweet, like let's say a ripe peach, our brain gets really excited. Ooh, you found some calories, we're going to survive. But when that intense sweet taste comes from these artificial or 0-calorie sweeteners like stevia, which is 1,000 times more sweet than the sweetest thing found in nature,
Right.
your brain says, ooh, we're going to survive. But guess what? Calories don't come because there's no calorie. We have a girl in Mastery that was addicted to stevia. She got off the sugar, but she couldn't even drink a glass of water without 10
Wow.
drops of stevia. So the thing is they're absolutely worse in terms of your GI, your microbiome, things like that. All the GI
That's a good
doctors will
point,
tell you.
microbiome.
Oh, deplorable. But the Diet Coke especially is so bad because it just messes up your brain chemistry
Yep.
completely with the whatever is in there, Splenda or
The
I forget
NutraSweet.
NutraSweet, right? You know stuff about NutraSweet.
Yeah, especially for neurological problems
Yeah.
in your brain. So, but anyways, my suggestion is if you have a salt addiction, start experimenting with all the different seasonings, especially kombu, kelp,
Yeah, the sea
wakame, the
vegetables,
sea
yeah.
vegetables, nori. Those would be good. The only one I'd stay away from is hijiki. That one has a high arsenic content, but other than that, all those sea vegetables are good. And then what's the one that you recommend?
Benson's Table
Benson's
Taste
Table
is my.
Tasty.
You know what's interesting is people say, oh well, without salt the food doesn't taste good, and I'm like, great, then you won't eat as much. But the truth is, is if you can really go, in Ultimate Weight Loss Program, oftentimes in different months we'll do different challenges. So right now we're on the 63 Days of Abstinence Challenge. I think we're on day 30. We're almost halfway done. In September we did the Salad Days of September. October we did the 30 Days of October. It was a meditation challenge. But in June we did a salt-free challenge, and I was still kind of cheating using the condiments because I was lazy. And I swear, once I did 30 days without salt, I was home free. And now everything tastes salty to me, like celery. And so this process of neuroadaptation takes time, which is one of the reasons people do go to True North and fast, not so much for weight loss, but so that the healthy food will taste good quicker. But it's really hard if you keep assaulting your taste buds. And by the way, diet soda has a ton of sodium in it too. So we don't recommend any processed food or animal food for anybody, whether they're food addicts, overweight or not, because that's who we are. And that's what we say.
Beth Schmidt, she said,
I know her. Hello.
I was wondering what I could do about my cholesterol. I am compliant on the program. My cholesterol is 260.
Well, how long? And how long has she been on a plant-based diet? Genetically, does she have high cholesterol? If she's overweight, as she's losing weight, she's eating her own body's fat,
right,
which is high in cholesterol. So don't be freaked out if that happens to you if you're overweight and losing weight.
Yep, and it's more important that you look at your ratio of HDL to LDL, C-reactive protein, homocysteine, other biomarkers of health. And if you have a question, you should call Dr. Goldhammer at True North.
Yeah. Free consult, Dr. Ellen Goldhammer at healthpromoting.com. And by the way, what's even more important than the number, and I believe Dr. Esselstyn will concur, is what you're eating, what your diet is. So are you including the whole plant fats like avocados, nuts and seeds, tofu, those kind of things? But if you are losing weight, if your body's releasing weight, it is possible for your cholesterol to go up because what you're eating is your own fat, which is very high in cholesterol. So give it some time. That's the thing. I notice people don't give it some time. They want a quick fix. They want like the gastric bypass, the weighing and measuring program. But I found that people that get results fast don't often have results that last. And I see people say, oh, well, everybody else is losing faster than me. And, it took me 27 months, guys. 27 months. That's almost 2.5 years to lose 50 pounds.
It's like a child learning to walk. You can't go hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. It takes time. So you need to be patient.
They didn't put it on overnight,
People want to know the documentary that you mentioned earlier that JP wanted you to watch.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with...
Well, he wants me to watch it, so I put it on the queue for Netflix as soon as I finish watching a new Western called Godsend that Jeff Nelson of VegSource recommended to me. It's super violent, which I don't love, but I love the actress, so I'm sticking with it. I don't even remember the name. It's in the queue. It's about a true life story.
It's about Jake the Snake, who was a professional wrestler, but it's about his battle with alcoholism and his friends that bring him back to life with yoga and abstinence.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie Flight with Denzel Washington, I recommend you watch it because that is the reason I came to realize that even though I was starting to get slender, that I really was a food addict in my brain, and I consider myself a food addict in recovery now. See if you resonate with that movie. We used to use it as part of
our training.
Part of the live program. A lot of people got triggered by it, but there's certain scenes in there that if they resonate with you, even though it's about drug and alcohol addiction, that it's a good chance maybe you do suffer from a food addiction. Why do you think people resist that label so much? To me, it's empowering.
Yeah, I know. It seems like almost everybody on the boards.
Oh yeah, it's like, I'm not a food addict. I'm not a food addict. I don't believe in food addiction.
And then about a month later, they write us and say, we think you're right.
Sometimes a month. I got one girl that just came back to me after 7 years that, with her tail between her legs, but that's because some other doctor said it, and it's like, it's so funny because when they hear it from a doctor, it's like all of a sudden it gives it
validity.
Yeah.
Well, that's
whatever.
okay.
That's fine. I'm sorry, I'm not a doctor. I would have gone to medical school. But
2 other documentaries. If you're having a challenge with giving up animal products, including dairy, I would definitely watch Earthlings. And if you go to nationearth.com or nationearth.org, Earthlings is on there for free. And then if you want to learn to be more compassionate and loving, there's a great one, which is made by the same producer from Earthlings, called Unity. And that one's available online, too.
And if you are not on my mailing list at eatunprocessed.com, consider signing up because this Saturday, December 2nd at 3 p.m. Pacific time, I'm doing a free webinar with Dr. Gustavo Tolosa called How to Eat Everything When It Seems Like You Can't Eat Anything.
Wow.
And we're going to talk about some of these questions about, like you talked about today, how do we substitute salt in a recipe or sugar or oil or flour or alcohol or gluten or nuts or beans like that. So that's going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about that. So make sure you're on my mailing list because you want to get that email when we do the launch of my new book, which is almost ready, so you can get the free audio, which is amazing too. And we also want you to consider going to the animal shelter or a local rescue when you're ready to get a pet to adopt instead of shop, because why breed or buy when homeless animals die? We got Bailey at 4 and she's just about the best dog we ever had. Isn't that right, Bailey? She said yes.
Paula Neal is with us,
Hey,
and
Paula.
she said, AJ, please address those that are needing to gain weight on UWL.
Well, that's fine. You can only
Really?
gain. Well, think about what type of weight can you gain. You can gain fat. You can gain muscle. You can gain bone. You can
Yeah.
gain water. She probably wants to. Whoever needs to gain muscle. So
Yeah.
again, that just all revolves around stop doing all this aerobic activity. Everybody's sitting on these treadmills and these bikes and these rowers and these stair climbers all day long. They're tearing apart muscle tissue. Start doing strength training to add muscle. Is it easy? Absolutely not. As you get older, it's even harder. But you have to start somewhere.
The truth is when I hear that, there was a post today by a lovely lady with her granddaughter saying, everybody's telling me I'm too skinny, so I guess that means I'm just right.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know who you mean, Paula. If you want to, email me privately if you can't say their name. There's very few people in our group, except for the few people that snuck in without telling us they actually suffered from anorexia, that need to gain weight on the program. The truth is we get our worldview of normal by what is around us. And
Yep.
because 1 out of every 4 people are not overweight, meaning 3 out of every 4 people, well, actually, we've got 3 people right here, and none of us are overweight, so we need somebody to, we're an exception in this room. But in general, 3 out of every 4 people are overweight. And so seeing overweight and obese people have become the norm, so that now people that are not overweight,
Exactly.
they stick out. It reminds me, remember that show, The Munsters?
Yeah.
Remember Cousin Marilyn, the
Sure.
beautiful blonde that looked like Marilyn Monroe? She was, quote, the ugly
Yeah.
one, because she was living in a family of monsters. And there was a
Right.
Twilight Zone episode where the doctors were pigs.
Oh, right,
Very,
right,
very
right.
similar. And so the other thing is, and Dr. Lyle addressed this in one of his interviews that I did with him, is that it's almost impossible for anyone to lose weight and keep it off. Something like 1 or 2% people actually keep it off. And so if your friends know you as somebody that was overweight and all of a sudden you're not, in their brain, the only possible explanation is that you're sick. You have cancer, you have anorexia. They don't understand that it is possible through a dietary regimen and lifestyle change like the Ultimate Weight Loss Program that you can lose weight safely, healthfully, deliciously, slowly, and sustainably, and not put it back on. And so therefore, their perception of you is that you're too thin. Now, I personally have been thin now for 5 years. I've never had a male say to me, I'm too thin. But a lot of women do. Not women I meet now.
Because they're jealous.
Well, I've never met anybody now. Like, I don't meet people that didn't know me, and I've never had anybody say you're too thin. It's only people that knew me when I was heavy that are heavier than me. Sharon McRae has never told me I'm too thin. Caroline Miller's never told me I'm too thin. It's always people that are heavier, and it's always people that knew me before. But there's sometimes we get these comments. Oh my God! What about a few episodes ago? That comment on YouTube, somebody wrote, "If this diet's so great, why do I have a pot belly?" So I guess I'm not too thin for everybody, because that guy sure didn't think I was
Yeah,
too
well.
thin, because apparently I have a pot belly.
Oh my God.
Well, first of all,
So-
that's interesting because when people talk about a pot belly, there's a couple things to look at. One is their posture. 2 is do they have gas? Because
Always.
gas can always cause it, and bloating.
Yep, I do.
And that's important. And the other thing, the main one, believe it or not, is posture.
Wow.
Because some people have a Donald Duck posture or a Daffy Duck. So
Mm.
you can actually look like you have a pot belly if you have poor posture. So your belly will stick out. And raw fooders. I know raw fooders. I've seen them eat 18 to 20 plums. And when they're done eating, man, their belly's blown out.
Right.
So it depends when somebody sees you.
Well, I don't have a pot belly. I have a pot liquor belly, because I like to fill my belly with pot liquor every morning. Yeah, but it's interesting. No, but we'll get people that aren't in Ultimate Weight Loss that comment how bad I look on this show, because I'm painfully thin.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Nobody says that to Mary McDougal, but she's always been thin. So,
Right.
Whatever.
Lorena, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, she said, how long does it take to neuroadapt?
30 days for salt, never for sugar, meaning
90 for fat, maybe.
90 to 120 to downregulate that fat receptor.
I believe it.
Which is why it's easier to pull that Band-Aid off quickly. Now, the thing about sugar, you're always going to prefer the taste of sweet, but that doesn't mean you have to get it from processed sugar. You can get it from actually fruit. So this is good. This is the kind of things we're going to talk about in the free webinar. But
Awesome.
most people say salt is the hardest for get the food to taste good. You can get food to taste good without oil by using high-fat fats like tahini and nut butters and avocado, not necessarily be able to lose weight during that, doing that. But to downregulate that fat receptor from a high-fat diet to a one lower in fat, like we recommend in Ultimate Weight Loss, or like Dr. Esselstyn or Dr. Goldhammer recommends, that can take 90 days, and for some people 120, and most people will not. Well, thank you very much. Will not go through that discomfort for, most people can't go through the discomfort of being hungry for more than a
Right.
few minutes. So it is hard, but it's doable, and we have more and more people doing it. We've got people down 1, 2, and with Heather Goodwin, 300 pounds now, so we know it works.
Can you overdrink on herbal teas?
You sure
I
can.
think you can overdrink on
You can
anything.
drink on
That
anything.
radio
And if you-
contest, that lady that died.
Yeah, you can get into that hyponatremia, but you can also take herbs that can be overstimulating or sedative type effect, like valerian, so you have to be careful.
If you are really eating the dietary style we recommend, you really
Won't need
don't
to
need
drink a
to
lot.
drink very much.
Yep.
We drink things like pot liquor and hibiscus tea because of their benefits, but not because we need the liquid. I mean, everything we eat is liquid. Fruits
Yep.
and vegetables, over 90% water.
Yep.
Mel said, I have the hardest job in the world for whole food plant-based. I'm around sugar, butter, flour, etc. all day long. Any tips for keeping it out of my mouth?
Sounds like a pastry chef. Yeah, quit. Honestly, when I first found out I was a food addict and that food addiction was real, I had my first session with a food addiction expert, and she said, if you don't quit, you'll never recover. So I quit, and I never looked
Yep.
back.
And if she's, I don't know if she's on the boards, but we covered that quite a bit, and with the
Yeah.
essential oils and green
Yeah.
powders.
Your environment predicts your success, and it's like if you were an alcoholic and you were still working at the bar, you might be able to white knuckle it, but it's probably going to be a pretty rare person that wouldn't relapse under those circumstances.
She says she can't afford to quit, have 4 kids to take care of.
Well, there's
Use the essential oils for sure.
Mhm.
Can't eat when you use those.
yeah.
Linda asked, what about acrylamides that are formed from high heat when cooking foods? I'm reluctant to get an air fryer due to acrylamides.
Yeah, I actually.
You don't have to make burnt,
First of all, you don't have to make it burned. I actually, I can present it next week, the research I got about that. I have never seen anybody die of acrylamide poisoning. I've never seen anybody get sick of it, but I sure see plenty of people suffer from being overweight, obese, and suffering
Well,
from food
yeah, but you
addiction.
don't have to have like
You don't have
crispy,
to have and you don't
crunchy-
have to have an
Right.
air fryer. By the
You
way,
don't have to have an air fryer.
well-
Just use an instant pot.
Well,
Acrylamide is formed when it gets a little burnt.
right,
So
certain
just
like
don't burn it.
vegetables, especially like mushrooms, I've never seen them get crispy. They just get
But
very
you don't
flavorful.
need the, you don't.
But
All
you
you
don't
need
have
is
to
an
have
instant
it.
pot.
The thing about the air fryer is for people that are so adverse to eating vegetables, that's really
It's-
why we recommend
it's
it. I
almost
didn't have
cheating.
one until March of this year.
It's almost cheating.
It really
makes,
is.
Yeah, it's
It
like
is.
you don't need it though.
You don't have to have it.
No.
No.
AJ, what do you recommend as fuel on a long run of over 4 miles? For instance, a 6 to 7 mile trail run, something I can carry in a pouch.
I recommend like a rickshaw so somebody can push you. I mean, I am like the last person to know about running, but I would say a sweet potato. Oh, they actually have pouches now. I've seen them at Whole Foods where they'll take it's like you go like this, and it's basically sweet potato and apple, but it's liquefied, and you go like that.
Yeah, it's like
that's-
baby food. They
Yeah.
make baby food like
yeah,
that.
and there might be some electrolytes in there. There's no sugar. They look
Right.
awesome. I thought about getting them just for travel.
Yeah, but you don't. I mean, you could just make your own.
Right, but I'm just saying.
The only thing I don't like about those things is they're okay. It's just that I don't like that packaging they're in.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
They're not ideal because it'd be different if you only used it once in a while, but you use them
Yeah.
continually.
but it's an option.
It's an option.
And it's a better option than, Gatorade.
Dr. Ruth Heydrich used to just eat sweet potatoes when
Yep.
she was doing her triathlons.
Yep. And I've seen people do like date water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
we better
so-
wrap it up.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching episode 54 of Weight Loss Wednesday with my co-host John Pierre for the next few weeks. I'm Chef AJ, and both John Pierre and I truly believe you can have both the health and the body you so richly deserve. Thanks, guys.
Bye.